So when it comes to asking a girl out on a date, I don't want you to think about a close. What I want you to think about is a closing sequence. What I mean is, it's not what is the one text that I send her to ask her out on a date. Instead, think what are the progression of texts that I send to ask her out on a date. And it can be the same ones over and over again, all right? So for me, off the top of my head, a lot of times it might be something like, things are going pretty well. I respond to whatever they said, some like cute, funny, quirky response or whatever, and then I follow it up with, so how does your week look, right? Or what's your week looking like? And I find out what their schedule for the week is, right? And then they respond with that, and then I say, sounds good. How do you feel about drinks and witty banter with a cute boy? Something like that, or with cute boys. I actually make it general so that it's not even necessarily specifically about me. And no girl's gonna be like, I hate that, right? Or some girls are like, I don't drink. And then you make a different plan. But most girls are pretty on board with that. And then you're like, okay, cool, let's do that on whatever day they said they were free. And by doing it that way, by going through that sequence, you're making it go a lot better, right? Other things that I'll do along the lines of that is even when I'm first meeting them, I'm already doing a little bit of a closing sequence when I get the number. Right? So I'm like, hey, you know what? You're kind of fun to talk to. And then I gauge her reaction. If she's like, yeah, you're cool too, then I'm like, yeah, you know what? Maybe we'll grab a drink sometime or whatever. Gauge her reaction. And they're like, how do we do that? What's your number? Right? So it's 1, 2, 3, like sequence. You'll know you're doing it right when sometimes they close you. So if you're going through the sequence, you do step 1, step 2, and then they do step 3 for you, that's when you know you're doing it really, really well. Now, that doesn't happen all the time. Obviously, probably the majority of the time you have to actually do all 3 steps. But if that happens occasionally, it's a really, really good sign, okay? But I want you to not think about what is the close. I want you to think about what is the closing sequence. What are the steps I can take to lead them towards the close? And along the way, you're constantly calibrating. You're noticing how they react, right? You're noticing, suddenly, like if they're texting very positively and you start the closing sequence and all of a sudden they start giving you shit tests, that means pause the closing sequence, pass the shit test, get it positive again, and then start closing it. And remember, you only close off of positivity, all right? But think closing sequence, not close.